Today we will venture alongside David Bey on his life-changing journey at Wat Pa Khanti Tham in Thailand. Together, we will delve into the enigmatic fabric of monastic existence, immersing ourselves in the depths of solitary introspection while traversing the paths of devotion, surrender, and enlightenment. This sharing of this extraordinary voyage into the essence of monastic wisdom was encouraged by the monks of Wat Pa Khanti Tham with the hope that together we can uplift the human condition. And now, your host, David Bey.
Sawadee krab Kun David. This is Pravit speaking and Charan Porn. First of all, I was so glad to have you at the temple. The 4 days, 3 nights we spent in the temple with what we all have done and have talked and practiced. It was a very pleasure to have you here. And I'm very happy that you are starting to share about your experience. This is very important and very helpful to tell the world or even your friends around you about the truth. Now, if you look everywhere, we are all under the suffering.
สวัสดีครับคุณสบายดีครับ Welcome everyone to this live stream. Happy Monday and happy Tuesday where you are in the world. It's 6 a.m. here in Chiang Mai, Thailand. And we got some wonderful people chiming in. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. All right, got Mexico in the house. Welcome, Ebony. Simoon chiming in from Philadelphia. Welcome. Got big love coming in from Maryland. Thank you, everybody that's coming in. Awesome, awesome. Throughout this this live stream, I would like you to pose the questions in the comments. Looking forward to giving you some feedback, and there's a lot to capture in my 3 nights there at Wat Pa Khanti Tham in Lamphun here in Thailand. The voice that you heard, that was from the message. You'll be hearing more of his insertions throughout the live stream tonight, and just some very inspirational but also in-depth transmissions that he shared with me to be able to share with you today. So if you got any teeming questions you would like to post right now, please drop them in the chat, and we'll get started in just a moment. All right, excellent. So I'm going to give everyone an opportunity to kind of get some background as to how I got the invitation to be at the temple. Temples are called Wat here in Thai. The word is Wat, so you'll hear me say Wat, and that's what that means. Also, this was a very unique experience. One, because I got a personal invitation from the abbot, the senior monk at the temple. So let me explain how I led up to what led up to this event. So I was in Lamphun, Thailand, meeting with a business owner there, and we did a morning walk. Went up to see the sunrise, and also we got a chance to spend some time with some peacocks there, which was very fascinating. Very lush area. It's about an hour and 15 minutes outside of Chiang Mai. Lots of mango fields, lots of mangoes everywhere. And very lush surroundings, and just a huge open valley, fresh, clean air, mountain views in the background. And you just imagine, even the sun is coming up right now here. Just imagine the sun is coming up and watching the mountains change colors from blue to a light purple to starting to catch the rays of the sun into an orange, yellowish tone. And you just stand there and you just breathe it all in, because it's life, nature, it's just happening right in that moment, and it's beautiful. And so when we were walking back, Kun Pen, she said, "Why don't we go to this temple? I would like for you to meet see if the monk is there, the abbot." And I was like, "Oh, great." So we go down this corridor of trees, and you just completely engulfed by nature. And then there's the temple building, and we go inside, and he's there, and he and I our eyes catch each other, and it was this instant familiar experience of, I know him. And he had the same response. He doesn't speak any English, but you could tell by the look on our faces that there was something familiar happening. And even the monks that was around in the area looked over towards us, and they made a comment. And Miss Penn, she said, "They're saying that you two look like you could be brothers." And I just kind of said, "Perhaps we are." And then he wanted to take a photo with us, and it was at that moment another monk came up who spoke English, and he said, the monk would like to take a photo with you. So we took a photo together, and it was at that moment where he had tapped my shoulder 3 times and said, "I would like you to stay here. You're invited to stay here for 3 nights." And I was like, "Whoa, wow, this is exciting." And just like that, the invitation was received. And it just so happened that the English-speaking monk is the one you heard in the opening of the event today. He was translating, and he was also in this space of what is happening here. This is not this is unusual. This doesn't happen every day. So it was everybody was acknowledging that something is happening here. So Pra Ajahn Wit, who you heard on the opening, he was translating English and sharing different things. And he said, "When can you come?" And I said, "I'm not really sure. I wasn't planning on this. I have to go back to Chiang Mai, and then I'll come back again." So a week later, I go back. And so while I'm there, I met Miss Pen, Kun Pen. I met her. She drove me over there. We arrived, and the other monks came, and they spoke to her, and she explained to them that I received the invitation, and I'm here now. And so they went and got the monk that spoke English, and Pra Ajahn Wit came, and he's looking at me. He says, "Oh yes, I remember you. But why did you come today?" He said, "Because I just come out of 7-day retreat, and I was in silence the whole time. I didn't interact with people." He said, "This is very interesting because you came the exact timing that I completed the 7 days." So he said, "There is no coincidences. You're supposed to be here." He said, "So let's make sure that you have a meaningful stay here." "And how long will you be staying?" I said, 3 nights. He said, "No matter the time. Time is not important. It's the intention of why you're here that's important." So, so after that, with the introductions and just kind of getting a sense of where things are, I was set up in my room, which was really nice for a stay at the temple. I thought I was going to have even like more, let's just say, minimalistic. It was minimalistic, but it was a very nice minimalistic environment. Had my own bed and the bathroom, and the facilities was very nice. And then I came back to the temple. Excuse me. I came back to the temple, and so I'm sitting in front of them. I did my obligatory bows, And he says, okay, so what is your intention for being here? So I said, well, I'm clear, I'm operating and I'm clear about the Four Noble Truths, which I'll explain later in this live stream. And he said, all right. I said, I am clear that there is suffering in the world. I'm clear that I experience suffering in this world. And he said, all right. I said, I also understand the truth or the cause of this suffering. He says, all right. He says, so you want to stop the suffering? I said, yes. He said, good. This is the pure intention. Many people come to temple for good fortune, maybe for energy, maybe to feel peaceful, or maybe for some good luck. He said, but the right intention is to understand the very point that you shared, is to end the suffering. This is why we come. This is why you come to the temple. This is why we practice. This is why we do meditation. This is why we as monks live the way we do. It's because we want to end the suffering in the world and want to spread the Dharma light so people can understand the source of what is going on in this world.
Mostly people, we are suffer from thinking. We cannot stop the mind thinking or the jumping mind.
As you heard Ajahn Wit, he shared that it's our mind that causes our suffering. So during my 3 nights there, we delved in through the practice of meditation. I often call it mind training. We delved in deeper because he said to me, what is your base? I said, well, I practice insight meditation, also known as vipassana. He's like, oh, very good. This is a good base for you to understand how to go in within your mind and observe the causes of what creates your thoughts, which then creates the feeling or the emotional attachment. He said, because you have this base, it won't be too difficult for me to explain certain things to you. As a matter of fact, he said, I think it will be easy for you to understand because you can weave together the knowledge that you receive. And then he proceeded to say, so why is it that there is so much knowledge in the world, so much access to knowledge in the world, but why isn't it making a difference for people? What is missing? Why is it that more suffering is caused in the world? He said, because of the thinking. If you don't change the thinking, you cannot change the condition. And there's a few other things as to how you get there.
The truth of the world is already has been here even before the Buddha was born. But he know the truth, the real one, and then transmit the message to the world. That's why we have all the Dharma, all the teachings nowadays. And the teaching itself may not help if we not practice. And the teaching is not too difficult for a human being to practice. Actually, it's very easy.
So it's very easy. It's a process, as with many things. It does require training, and it requires a lot of practice. But it's a worthy experience that we all, I would say, need to have if we want to liberate ourselves. And I'm going to use the words from the redemption song from Bob Marley, to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery. We are responsible for alleviating the suffering. Even the monks told me, even the Buddha cannot liberate you That's up to you. It can only transmit to you the wisdom so that you can put it to use, so that you can understand for yourself. But there's a prerequisite. You have to understand why things are the way they are. All right. So I want to give some more background how the day went. I want to open up if anyone has any questions so far. But I want to just review how the day went, like the schedule. It may not be like what we think. I remember years ago going to a monk chat and speaking to a monk, and he said, you know, a lot of people assume that every day we're just meditating for hours. He said, no, that's not how it is. We don't meditate for hours on end like that. We actually have chores, we have activities, and we have learning, we have Dharma talks, we have Dharma reading, we have to learn mantras. It's a very active lifestyle. And there are a lot of requirements, I should say, precepts and moral codes that they do follow to maintain their consistency. We did get a comment before the show today, and someone asked, how is it that the monks are able to maintain their peace? And how are they able to maintain their enlightenment? Which I thought were excellent, excellent questions. So I'm going to answer the first one. They maintain their peace because of the daily practice, but behind that is they know the reason why the struggles of the world are the way they are. And because they know that, they know what to do. They have a tool to help them move through their life. The monks are not infallible. They have their own situations that they've come through in their life and their undoing, and many different backgrounds that they've, come through. So they're looking for their own personal liberation as well, and they made a commitment. So the first thing is to understand why, and then after that, they took on a commitment to shift their previous ways of being. And in doing so, they have a daily regimen that maintains that. And also they're spending a lot of their time in natural environments, which is a very, 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 very key element. It's important that whether you become a monk or not, that the being in the natural environment is key to your existence. And one of the unnatural experiences that we're having today is because we're living an unnatural lifestyle, right? And after you just become real with that, there's a conviction that you make that I need to change the way I live. And there's many pathways one can take. This is one that I'm presenting today as a possibility. It's not based on let's say, a religious structure, even though Buddhism has become more religious outwardly. It's more of some would say philosophy. I would say it's more than that. It's a way of living. It's a way to go into yourself. It's a way to see the source of things, the cause and effect. And we hear that word many times. So the second part of that question was, how do they maintain their enlightenment? And that is, they use the truth to stabilize themselves. They use the truth to stabilize their mind. They have daily activities, and I'll go through that, what it looks like. But I also experienced it as well. As a matter of fact, Pa Ajahn Witt said, so I'm going to give you the schedule, and 3 o'clock in the morning, the bell will sound. 4 a.m., you go to the temple. At 4:30, we do the morning prayers, which will last somewhere about 45 minutes. Then we will prepare for the alms walk, which is called Winapat. And they will, the monks will robe up. They will take the alms bowl, do a wipe down preparation, and then we walk at 5:40 a.m. into town, which, by the way, is a beautiful experience that I had, just understanding how the monks are dependent on the community. The monks don't work, they don't touch money, they don't do exchange of any business transactions. They are completely reliant on the community. So we walk different houses, we go by, and people are offering food, water, some beverages, so that the monks can eat that day. And so we walk for about 40 minutes, somewhere about 35 to 40 minutes, and we walk into town. We bypass many different areas, and then to assist the monks, there's a driver that has a truck to take, because so many people are so generous that we're not able to hold everything inside the bowl. And then my duty was to walk behind the monks and to kind of help relinquish some of the items from their bowl into another bag, and then we take that to a basket, and then we pour those items inside. Once they complete the alms walk, then they're driven back to the temple, because pretty much there's so much generosity to take back. And when we arrive back, we take the food off from the back of the truck, and then we take it into the temple. And then I was given the opportunity on each day to present. You take a obligatory bow, you raise the basket, and you hand it to the monk to receive. And then we did that for each item. Then immediately after that, we go into cleaning. So we're cleaning the grounds outside, cleaning inside. Any area, no one, it is very interesting because no one outside of me was given the schedule of that next day. No one told me, okay, all right, you do this, that, this, and this. It was pretty much you observe and see what was to be done, and you stepped in, right? There were 5 other monks there as well. So everyone provided what was needed. And it's a very large property. So you figure, well, there were at one point there was 5 monks. There's actually 4 on there, and so everyone's doing their part. So it's interesting to see the harmony. As one person move over this way, this person is cleaning the front of the building. This one cleaning this side of the building, cleaning the leaves that came down from the trees that night. Someone is cleaning the bathroom, or someone's cleaning the floor on the upper level, or it just wherever is necessary. By this time, the community is coming to the temple to help portion the food in different bowls, and everyone, it could be, I think it was about 10 to 12 people that came from the community, and they put the food into bowls, and at around somewhere around 8, after 8 o'clock, all the monks come to sit in their position. And I wanted to add, one of the things that was, I just call it a blessing, because the whole thing was a blessing. This was an actual additional blessing. Pra Ajahn Wit said, would you like to sit with the monks when we eat? He said, because you're observing the moral codes of the temple, you have the opportunity to sit with the monks. I was like, yes. He said, good. You should have as many experiences that we can give you. You should have them all. I was like, I appreciate that so much. So the monks sit up at the upper level, and I sat on the lower level. And there was one other person who came there as well, who was a novice monk. No, he was a monk before. Now he's a novice monk. And technically, I was a novice monk observing the moral codes as well. So I pretty much am responsible for maintaining the moral code there as well. So after that, the community will put the food on, they'll offer it, and then the monks will, one of the senior monks will give a Dharma talk. And what I mean by offered, the food is presented to the senior monk first, and then there's a tray that moves down, and each monk will scoop the food into the same alms bowl. And because I don't have an alms bowl, we just had a big round plate, and we scoop food into very mindfully, just move the food into your bowl. And then and this was another practice. It's a subtle thing, but again, it was one of those things where I was like, man, if we just took this as a practice, it could alleviate the discord in the world. If you just did a slight bow when the person handed you the plate or the bowl or the tray, you just did a slight bow and you received it, you scoop the food, and then you hand it to the next person. And then they have the community receiving it, because the community will eat after or eat as well. And so the person that was to my left also did a bow, and I slide the tray to them. And it was just every day. This is every day for them. So this is how they stay so peaceful, because there's community, there's wisdom, there's activity, there's commitment. All these things are necessary. Peace just doesn't come out of the air and fly and jump on you. You have to literally do some work and maintain a structure for it to operate inside of. So that was the part of the morning, and then after the monks will do Dharma talk, and then they will do a blessing, and then the community will take the food and they will eat at a kitchen that's off right next to the building. And so we all eat in silence. And once you're done, you go wash your containers, your spoon, the little trash bin that you have, and in the back of the outside, and you wash all those, you dry them, you sit down and you dry, and you place everything neatly back, fold the cloths, everything has an order. And then we clean inside the actual temple area. We first sweep, and then after that, we get the mop, and we mop the floors, open up everything. And then after that, we take a slight break. Because I was new to the space, Pa Ajahn Witt, in his generosity, would sit and have talks with me, where he was transmitting Dharma, or what we would call wisdom. I had an epiphany during my time there. Again, I'm bouncing around, because how do I get 3 nights condensed into 1 hour conversation? So I'm hitting certain highlights, and I'm things that there was times that just touched me, and I had a lot of wow, aha moments where my mind was just firing off, my awareness was firing off in the transmissions. So we had a discussion about the Four Noble Truths. We had a discussion about the cause and effect of our thinking. He shared more about the choice that a person would make to become a monk, and the reason why he made his choice, because he just got fed up he just was being beat down by the conditions of the world of life. And he's like, there's got to be a better way. This can't be it. A lot of times, a lot of successful people become monks because they've reached some epiphany, like, I have everything, but I don't. What is missing? This doesn't make any sense. I can have anything I want, but why am I feeling empty? And so we had some talks about that. I remember fast forwarding, in the evening, we went to meditate inside one of their platforms. And it was actually 4 of us sitting there. And this was an area where there's a lot of generation of meditative work and a lot of insight, and a lot of Dharma talks have happened on this platform for years. And it has a lot of energy there. It's a very high frequency. As a matter of fact, when I walked into it, it felt like just an upliftment, like, whoa, something powerful is happening here. So, but we didn't have any discussion about that at that moment. We sat and meditated. We focused on our breathing, and allowed whatever thoughts to be present and allowed any whatever feelings to be present. Afterwards, he looks at me and says, "Did you sense anything?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Share, please share." I said, "Well, I had a very interesting experience." I said, "I was feeling some pain, and I was also feeling like I was also seeing these thoughts that I don't even remember if from years ago, like 30, 40 years ago. I'm like, where's this thought coming from?" And he said, he started nodding and smiling, and he said, "Very good, very good." He said, "You see, this place here is," he said, he paused and he said, "Do you sense any energy here?" I said, "Yeah, this is a high frequency here." He says, "Yes, there is." He said, "Maybe perhaps some clarification is happening. Some, because of your receptivity, some things are coming out naturally. You didn't even think about that thought before, maybe a long time ago. And just to show you, we have a lot of thoughts like that. And a lot of, when we use the word suffering, it always doesn't mean like it's the worst thing ever happening. It's not always misery. It could be discomfort. It could be not being satisfied. And the reason why it's suffering, we use the word suffering, is because it keeps going on and you're unaware that it's happening. And you're mostly unaware of the cause of why it's happening, and you're unaware of how to stop it. So this is what Buddha considered, has identified as a suffering. And we're all suffering, one thing or another, whether it's a gross suffering like anger and frustration, sadness, depression and anxiety, or a subtle expression of suffering where it's just we might be wondering or wandering. We may be slightly confused. It doesn't mean you're always that way. It's when it's happening. And maybe it doesn't last long, or maybe it does. It depends on each person's situation. It's the fact that it's there and you don't know why. So I'm going to do my best to share some of the transmissions that it was given to me to be able to share with you all as a gift. The reason why my intention for doing this is because this is a rare experience. I don't know if any of you all ever spent any time at a monastery in Thailand or anywhere in the world and spend intimate time with monks, having them share with you their daily life and also transmit wisdom that Buddha spoke. And during my stay there, I had an epiphany. It was very moving for me. The level of compassion that one must have to be able to take on a lifestyle to help free others. Because you can just do it yourself and be good, right? But the fact that they took the time to share with me that showed me the deep compassion. They don't know me. They never met me in their life, but they showed a lot of compassion and actually genuine love. Like I was taken care of. I had no worries about anything. And to be able to receive what I received was an absolute blessing. I remember one moment where I was sitting in meditation, and Ajahn Witt is sitting in front of me, and we would have meditation sits together. And afterwards, we would have an exchange. It wasn't like him just talking to me and saying, "Hey, you should learn some stuff from me." He was asking me questions to give me some pathways of my own understanding and encouraging to go further, see what's behind that. So I during one of those sits, I shared with him, I said, it just occurred to me, what you're sharing with me is the exact wisdom that the Buddha spoke. And he just smiled and nodded. He said, yes. And I am aware that this transmission has been going on for over 2,566 years. And I was like, wow. And he just smiled and he says, yes, it's the same message that the Buddha spoke when he came out of his sit, where he challenged himself and he sat under that Bodhi tree and he became awakened and later became enlightened. It's the same thing he did. Whew. So we have an opportunity. I had the opportunity to actually experience that. And it's a lot to share about the little intricacies, but I will share the same message, the same transmission that was given to me. That's 2,566 years of wisdom being transmitted through time, through space, through dimensions. And the integrity of that message has maintained over all these years and still will continue on to help others to emancipate themselves from mental slavery. Bob Marley, that song, Redemption Song, is a very powerful song for me. And because later on in that same that song, the lyric says, "None but us can free our mind. None but us, none but I can free my mind." So, what are we going to do to free ourselves? So, I'm going to share about the Four Noble Truths and what they are and how we can utilize them. This is this transmission that was based on everything that the intention I set. It was also the intention that Ajahn Witt made a commitment to make sure that he was going to share with me the way. And so the Four Noble Truths will guide us all. It'll help us figure things out. So the truth, the first truth, that the truth there is suffering. In order to understand this, you have to accept that there's suffering in the world. And we can look in the world right now and then see that there's a lot of suffering in the world. People are suffering from sadness. Some people are suffering from depression. Some people are suffering from loss, grief. People are suffering from loss of work. Some people are suffering from having too much work. But there's one specific thing that is happening overall, and there's a pivotal point, that there's suffering caused by human beings in the world. There's suffering in the world that is caused by the human thinking. There is suffering in the world because of the ignorance of what it means to live in this world. All the suffering that's occurring in this world, believe it or not, is caused by human beings. Human beings are not just causing suffering for human beings. Human beings are causing suffering for every living being on this planet. Let that sink in for a minute. The things that we do are destroying life, the context of life for other beings. All because the human being doesn't realize what their purpose for being here. And so everything is suffering. The air is suffering. The water is suffering. The earth is suffering. The elements are suffering. Why is there so much suffering? We have to start asking ourselves. So I ask you to ask that question. We need to get to the truth of this. In order to do that, we got to look at it. Open up our eyes and say, why? You know what? They're suffering. You know what? I'm suffering. It may not be, you may not think it's something major to classify it as suffering, but there's times when we suffer. And why? Why is this existence going this way for us? So the second truth is, once we open our eyes and say and accept, all right, there's truth. The truth is there's suffering in the world. Then we start going into what is the cause of this suffering. The cause of this suffering, as Ajahn Witt shared, is from our minds. It's from our thinking. It's from a baseline thinking at that. It's our preferences. It's what we like and what we don't like. It's our cravings for all the things that we want and our aversions for all the things that we don't want. And we think that we're living free when we're just reproducing thoughts over and over and over again. And most of the time, most of us are just avoiding the bad stuff. And we're running after what we classified as good, right? And we may think, well, that's how it should be. Who wants the bad stuff, right? It's not that condition, because here's the truth is, in all the things in the world, things are always going up and down, up and down. They're always going up and down. And because of that, nothing stays the same. So we're never going to have 100% of anything. It will change. The thing is, when it changes, how we respond. Are we in a place of consistent peace, of just being in harmony? Like, things change, I will change. I know what to do when it changes. And that's the key point. You don't know what to do when things change. And therefore, the thinking goes to, I don't like this. And if we keep saying that over and over again, that disappointment or discouragement or dissatisfaction starts to turn into some gross experience. And we'll find ourselves inside these other expressions where we're like, how did I get here? Well, it didn't just start yesterday. It started many, many years ago. And the way we are taught, the way we are experiencing the world, is how we start to govern how we think we're supposed to live. And without a tool, we don't have anything to distinguish. We just say, well, this is just the way it is. Well, there's conditions that are already pre-established, predetermined. We have eyes to see, we have a nose to smell, we have a mouth for tasting and speaking, we have ears to hear. Our skin feels, and our emotion creates another sense of intangible feeling, right? Our emotional self. And so they're going to do what they do, always. It's our mind that determines whether it's this way or that. And because we don't know how to govern our mind, we will always go to, this is great, this is awesome, this is wonderful, this is amazing, this is beautiful. And then inside that same breath, this is bad, this is wrong, this is terrible. And we start to create a feeling or emotional attachment to the thing that we see. And we keep bearing in this thing over and over again. And then the next time we see something like, we avoid it. The next time we see something that we like, we grab it. And essentially what happens is we start to crave more what we don't have and avoid. It's a weird flip. We crave what we don't have and we avoid what we have. So naturally we become dissatisfied. And this is the baseline. And this is one of the causes, or one of the ways to look at the causes of the suffering in the world. So let's say that you sat and examined, or you heard me speak, or you heard someone else speak, and you're like, you know what? There's suffering in the world. But what do we do about it? That is the question you want to ask. What do we do about it? You start looking at the ways. It's up to you, right? It's not going to change by itself. And maybe you're not going to change the whole world at once, but it takes a few people at a time. And there's enough people in the world that have made a commitment to change the suffering in the world. We just need to keep growing and growing and growing. It starts with you, starts with me, starts with all of us. We get to choose how to walk this way. We can do it in our homes. We can start right in our homes. And that is the key place to start. And the fourth noble truth is to know that there's a path to end the suffering. It's already pre-established. It will help us. It'll help us figure things out. There's a way. You got to walk the walk now. We have already received some understanding. We know that there's some knowledge there about the suffering. So we already asked the question, well, how do we end it? But that's still not enough. We got to do the work, right? So my encouragement, and the encouragement that's also from the monks, is to start doing the work that is necessary for us to alleviate our own personal suffering. You start with yourself. Then the way you interact with your family is next. That alone will make a huge difference for so many people. That alone will make a huge difference in the way you live your life, the way you choose to see the world. So I would like to take us through an exercise so that you can experience the Four Noble Truths in real time, and that hopefully my hope, my intention is that you're able to receive the transmission as well, and maybe continue to forward it to other people this evening for you, or continue it through the next day, and maybe the next day, and the next day after that. So one of the most important factors in practicing, there was a key factor that Ajahn Witt shared with me. He said many people go into meditation and they sit and they say, oh, I'm coming into meditation for peace. I'm coming into meditation for happiness. I'm coming into meditation for discipline. I'm coming into meditation to free my mind. So many things are happening. Some people are coming to meditation to escape. He said, none of these things are meditation. You're just sitting there. Your thoughts will be there. Your feelings will still be there. Nothing will actually change. So a lot of times what happens for people when they sit in meditation, they're like, nothing doing, nothing happening. I could be doing something else. Maybe you have a busy lifestyle and you have so many activities to do. And so sitting, you may be thinking, sitting in meditation is just not optimal for my lifestyle right now. I'm just too busy. I got too many things to manage. Right? So sometimes that thinking will occur. Or some people say, well, I tried and nothing happened for me. Okay. I would like to encourage you, do not try to meditate. Do not try. I'm going to give you a way into meditation, which starts with something, it's a prerequisite to build your awareness, because it's a process that actually you have to put some time into to actually, before you could see some result. It all starts with your intention. So I would like to invite people to, if you meditate already, I would like you to wipe the slate clean. And if you haven't meditated already, you're already at a clean slate. I want you to focus on the Four Noble Truths. That the first one, that there's suffering in the world. And I want you to think about, in this moment right now, the breathing.
How to handle the mind. It's only the mindfulness it can handle this. And believe it, mindfulness is your best friend.
Mindfulness is your best friend. So how do we start with, this is a great question. Great question. How does one, when meditating, deal with the possibility of fear of their thoughts? Excellent question. So, thoughts will arise. And I'm going to give you the practice. This is why this question is excellent, because it's right on time with what you're going to do when anything arises. So it starts with your breathing. Your breathing is the most consistent expression of your existence. Without it, we won't be here. So it's very precious, number one. Two, it's very consistent. It's how we live. Three, right? There's something even more precious about it. That it is your friend. It is where you focus on, and not the thought itself or the feeling. Remember, the mind is a thought manufacturing machine. It will process over and over and over and over and over and over again. And if you don't do anything, it will continue to do that over and over and over again. As a matter of fact, many meditation masters will tell you, do not try to stop your thoughts. The mere action of trying to stop your thoughts will generate more thoughts. And then maybe you'll get discouraged. I didn't stop my thought today. Maybe tomorrow you didn't stop it. Maybe you stopped at 50%, 25%. The intention is not to stop the thought. The intention is to focus on the sacred breath, which is called anapana. Anapana is the word given that Buddha spoke for focus on the breath will give you access. Anapana is the key to the wisdom of how to stop the suffering. It's the key that opens the door. So let's experience it in this moment right now, so it's no longer just knowledge. I'm going to walk you through the practice, and I would invite you to join in right now. Wherever you are, you just comfortably, you could be standing or sitting, lying on the floor, whatever your position is all right. It's acceptable, as long as you are in a relaxed position right now. If you like to sit in a lotus position or a half lotus, it's all right. All right. You're just going to close your eyes gently, and you're going to just focus on your whole sense of your body right now. You're going to sense the whole existence of your mass of your body. It's here, I'm present. Once you're present that you're present here right now, I would like you to start breathing in and breathing out naturally. No forced air, just breathing in and breathing out. You're already doing it. I just need you to be aware that you're doing it. Breathing in, you're breathing out. I want you to just notice that you're breathing in and that you're breathing out. I'm currently breathing in and breathing out. I'm aware in this moment that I am present right now, here. I'm breathing in and I'm breathing out. I'm focusing all my concentration. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. I'm focusing on the breath, only on the breath. Breathing in, breathing out. Maybe in this moment, some thought, oh, what would I have for dinner? Or will I have a snack after this live stream? Something tasty, perhaps. Go back to breathing in, breathing out. Oh, yesterday I was supposed to do something, but I got to do that tonight. Go back to breathing in, breathing out. Oh, my friend said to call her at 8:30. All right, I'll make sure I do that. Breathing in, breathing out. Focus back to breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Oh, this is so boring. Breathing in, breathing out. I'm not feeling anything. Am I supposed to feel anything? Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. The thoughts will come. You will focus your attention on your breath anytime any thought or feeling arise. Breathing in, breathing out. And while you're focusing on this, you notice that this is natural. I'm breathing in and breathing out. And you might want to start thinking about, wow, when I'm not focused on my breathing, it's some kind of suffering happening. Breathing in, breathing out. Now, you may not call it suffering, but if I have a barrage of thoughts coming in, and I'm supposed to be focusing on my breath, I'm not able to concentrate. This is a subtle form of suffering. My mind is going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, jumping over here, jumping over there, hyperspace movement over there, thinking about this and that. Maybe I'm jumping into the past, but truly right now, the truth is I'm just sitting here breathing in and breathing out. Or maybe my mind is jumping into the future and I'm thinking about something that's not happening just yet. Breathing in and breathing out. Every time that occurs, focus back on your breathing. Breathing in, breathing out. You could be sweeping the floor. You already know the motions. You don't need to think about sweeping the floor. You could be focusing while sweeping the floor. I'm breathing in and breathing out. While I'm typing this email to my client, I'm breathing in and breathing out. While I'm driving the car, I am breathing in and breathing out. I may have thoughts about other things other than what is happening in the moment right now. I know what to do now. I focus on my breathing. Now, some people who are very clever say, well, my whole profession is based on me being in the future. Very clever thinking, right? But Is there anxiety for bringing in the future? Are you able to bring the future into the present and be present with that? Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Sometimes a sadness will come up. Maybe we had a loss of a loved one. A thought may come up. We hold them, we hold the thought. We're breathing in, we're breathing out. We're breathing in, we're breathing out. We understand this, the truth of something happening right now. I'm experiencing some suffering. All I'm doing is sitting here breathing. Now let's start to think about what is causing this suffering. My mind is causing this suffering. My mind is constantly thinking, breathing in and breathing out, breathing in and breathing out. All I'm doing right now is sitting here comfortably, naturally, breathing in, breathing out, and I'm having some unnatural experiences. That's interesting. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. You may be asking yourself, well, how do I stop this madness? This crazy manufacturing machine? How do I stop the wheels from spinning? How do I stop this suffering? So the question is so when we're not focused on our breathing, our thoughts will hit us no matter what occurs. We are creating the anxiety. Yes. Your question is the insight that you just had. It's not a question, you just had an insight. It's our breathing that is natural. It's our thoughts that are unnatural. I want you to continue to focus on that beyond this live stream. I want you to sit with your thoughts, with that particular insight, and look at your thoughts like, I'm just sitting here breathing, and my mind is manufacturing thoughts. And if those thoughts are very strong, they will manufacture a feeling, an emotional attachment. Once you get clear about that, you're going to ask, well, how do I end this? You keep breathing, and you create the practice of sitting and breathing. You can do it anywhere, anytime. You don't have to, this is pre-meditation. This is before you go into mind training and insight sitting. You focus on what you're doing as you're doing it, and hey, I'm breathing. Breathing in and I'm breathing out. I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out. While eating fruit, I'm aware that I'm breathing in and breathing out. I'm tasting the flavors of what I'm tasting. That's what it's supposed to taste like. Because I have a tongue and can taste. I'm breathing in and breathing out. I can reduce my attachments to it being one way or another way, because this is where the struggle becomes for us. What is consistent is that I am breathing in and I am breathing out. Inside this space, you will create space. You will begin to detach yourself from the event or the experience or the occurrence or the old feelings, the old thinking. You will create a space enough for you to understand that you are not the experiences that you are having. You are not the past experience that you've had. And you're not the future experiences that are to come. You're going to create a space between you and the thoughts and the feeling. And inside that space, you will see your true self. And you will see that you are the driver of this vehicle called the human body. You are the driver of the mind, the engine that's manufacturing the thoughts. You are the driver of the emotional state. You. Once you create that space through practice, you will start to see that you are in the seat that's driving the vehicles called the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the ears, the skin, the emotions, the mind, the thoughts. You are the driver. And you do not have to succumb to the reprocessing of thoughts and feelings that keep coming over and over and over again. Walking through life thinking about what's going to happen next if I don't do this right like I did last time. What will people say? What will I say? What will people do? Will they like me? Will they hate me? Will they love me? Will they cherish me? Will they respect me? Or whatever we say. We are the generators of our existence, and we get to create the space for ourselves so that we can live into the present moment. The present moment right now, of what we're experiencing right now, is that I am breathing, and I am present to that I am breathing. I am aware that I am breathing. This is the beginning of how you start to end the suffering. And you imagine, if I don't practice today, more thoughts will come today. If I don't practice tomorrow, I'm going to have more thoughts. So we need to put a wrench into the gear of the mind and say, I'm not going to entertain all those thoughts today. I'm going to entertain my focus on my breathing. Now, somebody stop at this moment and say, well, what else are we supposed to do? Just focus on our breathing? Yes. And your breathing is the key to the door to give you access to freedom. It's the base level for you to understand who you are and what you're capable of doing and your connection to this world and what is that there's for you to do and to learn and to experience truly, to rise above the human condition, to be able to free yourself. You will move to another level of awareness. There's stages of awakening. This is the beginning. And each one will move you through what is called super mindfulness or super awareness, where you've created there's the thought, there's my breath, and there's this space in between, where now I'm experiencing the fullness of my true self. And the more distance you create between you and your thoughts, you're no longer entertaining the thoughts. They will start to disappear. The troubles of your thoughts will start to disappear. They will no longer be valid. You will no longer rely on your thoughts to identify who you really are, because you realize that I am the driver of this vehicle. I am not the feelings that I'm feeling. I'm not the taste that I'm tasting or the things that I'm seeing or I'm smelling or I'm hearing. That is not me. They're the functions of the human construct. Who is it and what is it that is governing the breath? Think about it. You're breathing all the time. You don't have to think about breathing. There's no thoughts that you're having about breathing. Breathing, or the breath awareness, is pure. It's one of the most purest things that is with you every day. So if you want consistency, you want discipline, you want peace, focus on your breathing and allow it to open up your eyes to see the path to ending your own suffering, your own fears or anxiety. I'm going to start to bring this on. See, there's comments coming in. Uncertainty is a form of human suffering. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, it's one of the base subtle levels. And actually, there's something, see, when you go into observing, you will go beyond what you see. There's something behind the uncertainty. Thank you for chiming in, everyone, Johnny and Sun Moon. If anyone has any questions, please start chiming in. I'll start bringing them up on the screen, because I would like this to be interactive. Also, I'd like to ask anyone or everyone if you would like for me to do more lives like this, because listen, I had 3 nights of some aha moments and some mind expanding experiences that I have much more than this to share. But the monks did encourage me, like, please share this message to all your friends and family so that they will know. Many people are moving through this world and they do not know what to do. And because of that, they are suffering. This is the base that will help them understand the reason why things are the way they are. From there, you can build a foundation to experience the next level. The next level of awareness will start to open up your eyes, and you will no longer just be attached to the things that are happening. So I'm going to share 2 more points so that you can see how it applies to me, applies to us, and it can show up in your daily life. So one thing I want to share, because the word anxiety was placed on in fear, the reason we experience fear is because we don't know. We are fearing uncertainty or the unknown. So this, I'm giving you the what's behind uncertainty. It's because you don't know. It's simply that. So you're uncertain. The moment you become knowledgeable, you become certain. The moment that you take that knowledge and put it into action, you are clear. So this is a pathway you can start today. If you have any uncertainty about anything, get into the knowledge mindset. Start asking your question, why? So that you can be curious to figure out what is going on. What's going on here, right? Next thing, many people in the past 3 years specifically have moved between depression and anxiety, back and forth, like a tennis court. And we're all like, what is going on? I don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of fear developed. How do we maintain a center equilibrium so that we don't vacillate back and forth so often and generating more thoughts and more expressions and more feelings and more emotional attachments that keep us moving in this circle, in this cycle? We're trapped inside of this, right? It's interesting. Someone just brought up a point I want to bring up. Oh, let me finish this point. The reason we go to the past because we're attached to the way it was before, but we're not present. The past already happened. It's actually long gone. So the moment we go to the past and we are stuck there, we will find ourselves in the expression called depression. Depression is that we're stuck in the past. When you move back to the center, you will become present. That past is already done. There's nothing I can do about it. I can't even change the past. So you'll get knowledgeable and truthful about what's going on. You tell yourself the truth. There's nothing I can do about it. It has already happened. Now what we have to manage is the feelings, and that's just why we do this breathing technique called Anipana. There's another level of Anipana. It's called Anapanasati, which is the awareness of the breath. There's the breath, and then there's the awareness of the breath that will take you to another level of truth. Why do we have anxiety? Is because I'm too far into the future, trying to manipulate or change or do something, and it hasn't happened yet. So I'm worried about something that hasn't happened yet. And you got to start sitting with that and thinking about, I'm worried about something that hasn't happened yet. It hasn't even happened. And I'm worried about it. And then you have to get inquisitive as to why. So our connections to our thoughts, even if they're positive, is a form of suffering because we see ourselves as those positives. Yeah, this is where it gets a little tricky because, there's a lot of positive thinking processes out here. And this is not just like to beat up on ourselves and be like, oh, just accept negativity and things like that. What happens with the positive thoughts is that it's not that the positive thoughts are something is wrong with them. It's that we start to crave for them. We start to desire them all the time. And we start to become hungry for them. We start to chase for them. It's the chase that leads to dissatisfaction. Because the reality is everything will change. Some people have a preference for it rain. Some people have a preference when it's sunny. Are you going to keep jumping up and down there because the weather changed? This is like your inconsistencies are going to drive you into dissatisfaction. It's raining. It's raining. That's all that's happening. It's just raining. Why do we attach so many thoughts to it being this way or that way? Just appreciate and accept it. It's raining. Raining is raining. The sun is shining. It's all part of the natural world, right? So there's a comment here, uncertainty keeps you humble. I would like to challenge this thinking. I actually get your point, but uncertainty is a form of not understanding truth. I think what you're expressing is not being a know-it-all, right? That's ego, right? And uncertainty, when I'm speaking about uncertainty, I'm speaking about not knowing what to do and being stuck there with uncertainty, right? So Marvin, I get what you're saying. Uncertainty keeps you humble. My challenge is that is the ego when what we're managing, or that conversation is around the ego. If the ego is strong and being uncertain could be like a way of countering. But even that vasculating back and forth will keep you off center. Even that mind gymnastic will keep you away from being present to the truth. The truth is, humble or not is not the point, right? The truth is to look at what is there and to eliminate or to distinguish what is there that's having us be away from our natural expression. Even not to chase for being humble or being happy or being satisfied. Because what happens is we start to crave for it. And this craving mind will drive us instead of us driving it. Johnny has said that the Lotus Sutra, yes, this is one of the, in the practice of Buddhism, the Lotus Sutra is considered one of the most important sutras. You can do a search on it. I'm not going to go into it because we're going to wrap up in just a moment. The Lotus Sutra walks into this more explicitly to understand the inner workings of where our mind goes and how to free all these different levels. It's like we remember in the Matrix, the young boy is looking at Neo and he says, he's holding that spoon and he said, that statement, "There's no spoon." And you see the spoon bends. He said, it's not that the spend is bending, that's impossible, but to you basically use your mind, right? But when you step behind that, what he was saying is neither the mind or the spoon is causing this to happen, is the true you, right? It was like one of those things to make make a hint to the viewer, well, what's causing that to happen, right? So I am super grateful for everybody's participation today. And the comments that are coming in are very insightful. And I would love everyone to walk away with this beginning practice of the focusing on the breath, being able to focus on the base of your existence that's naturally occurring in this moment right now, that we're simply breathing. And because we're breathing, we understand there's a cause to everything that's occurring outside of that breath. My mind is generating thoughts. Maybe in this moment, you're like, oh, I like this discussion, I like this live stream. Or maybe your thoughts are, I didn't agree with what he said. Or maybe your thoughts are, I don't like meditating. I tried it, doesn't work. So many different thoughts are generating, but you're not present. You can have all the thoughts you like. And I'm not here to discourage anyone, but just know that your thoughts becomes the attachments to the experience that you're having, and it's not having you be present. It's not having you be present. And we do have to practice. As simple as it is, it can become complex by our thinking alone. Right? It's our thinking that has it be complex. It's simple. It's pure simplicity. Are you not breathing right now? I know I am. So thank you, everyone. If you'd like to see more live streams like this in the future, send me a message, drop me a comment. I appreciate everyone. I'm super grateful for this opportunity. There's a whole lot more that I can share. But I think this here is a great base for everyone to start moving into their world. I often tell people when I do mind training classes, I say, hey, you know, we have a mind, but how do we use it? We know how to drive our cars. We know how to use our cell phones, our computers, or whatever device or things. You know how to use your refrigerator. You know how to turn on the light. Why don't we know how to be with ourselves and understand the construct of our mind? So thank you again, as we say here in Thailand, Kap Pong Ma Kap, Sawadee Kap. I look forward to seeing everyone soon. Jอกันใหม่นะครับ